intermediaries, e-learning programs, training programs for working professionals and academia, and various investor education initiatives. Today's webinar topic is From Breaches to Bottom Lines, Investor Guide to Cyber Defense. So for this we have with us Milind Thorat. Mr. Milind Thorat is a seasoned cybersecurity and information security professional with over 25 years of experience across cybersecurity, IT risk management, and data privacy. He has served in key leadership roles, including Regional Director, Information Security at US based multinational in the card payments industry, a virtual CISO, consultant, trainer, ethical hacker, incident investigator, and auditor. He brings deep domain expertise to organizations and professionals alike. Mr. Millen is also a recognized speaker, frequently invited as a keynote speaker, panelist, and guest at national and international conferences and media events. So now I would request Millen sir to begin with the session.
Thank you, Manasi. Thank you very much. It gives me pleasure to conduct this webinar for NISM. And so let's begin. Um, you are able to see my presentation on the screen. Are you able to see that one slide
Yes,
now?
yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir, it is
So,
visible.
yes. So today's topic is on cybersecurity. We are going the topic or the title of the today's session is From Breaches to Bottom Lines, Investor Guide to Cyber Defense. Now, if you see in the title itself, we are talking at something which is at a higher level, the breaches. Breaches means any security incident that happens, a break-in into the systems of an organization and where the data is stolen. So we are taking a top-down approach, and that's why it is from breaches to bottom lines. So we generally hear about the breaches in the media, and then the actual reasoning starts, like why this happened, what could be the reason. And so that is basically the idea behind this title. So let's look at on your screen. You are able to see why cyber risks um, are something to worry about for every Indian investor. Now you can see certain figures on the screen. So 470 lakh crore is the BSE market capitalization, and SEBI says that BSE equity market capitalization has rose to almost 470 lakh crore from 101 lakh crore compared to 10 years back, and this figure is about October 25. So we can simply understand that Indian investors, the retail investors, are continuously increasing. Like they are putting their hard-earned money into the stock markets, and the number of people who are putting their money into the stock market is increasing. So it's a 400% increase as compared to 10 years back. So that is as per BSE market capitalization. Now, if you look at the other figure, the 79 lakh crore, so this basically is related to the mutual fund. So which means people um, people are having more and more interest. They are gaining interest in keeping their money invested into some sort of a mutual fund. Now, those who do not have the time or the understanding or the knowledge of how to do things themselves, like how to invest in the stock market, how to do trading. So if they are not so trained or equipped, they would prefer to go with some sort of a known mutual fund scheme, or a mutual fund from their brokerage houses. And they would want to invest their money or park their money in the mutual fund. And a good amount of that money comes also from the monthly or weekly SIPs that many individuals do. Now, if you see the current trend, the younger generation is more inclined towards uh, doing some sort of a small SIP so that the corpus builds over a longer period of time. So that is one reason why we see more and more participation, more and more investments being done in mutual funds. And the next figure is about 90K plus households surveyed. So, which means the SEBI's 2025 investor survey covered 90,000 households across urban and rural India, which showed a retail base, which shows that the retail base has broadened, which means the awareness, the knowledge, the importance of investing in the stock markets has um, risen. I mean, it has grown over a period of time, and youngsters as well as in Indian in general are getting inclined towards building a corpus through this route of investments. Now, if you compare this uh, with our elders, you would know that some of them would invest in say gold, some of them would invest in fixed deposits. So they would keep their money in fixed deposits. So then they would say markets is very risky, and it is kind of gambling and all those. There were so many myths around investing in stock market, and of course the awareness was not of that level. Now, why are we discussing all this? A key reason why we are discussing this is because markets in general, brokerage firms, the demat accounts, all of these hold money, money of retail investors. So, which means it becomes a easy target for cyber criminals, those who want to siphon off money that is in the accounts. Now, we have heard about so many different kinds of cyber attacks where somebody clicked a link or somebody shared an OTP and the bank account is emptied, which means the cyber criminals would siphon off with the money that is available in the bank account. Now, just imagine if thousands and thousands of crores or so many lakh crore rupees is in a particular account, and if the cyber criminals are to gain access to that, then what would happen? Um, they would make a fortune out of it, right? If they get an opportunity to transfer money from the brokerage houses' bank accounts, then they would siphon off with the retail investors' money. Suppose they get hold of some bug in the platform's web application or a mobile application, then they would simply try and access the money that is parked in the demat account of a retail investor, and they would try to transfer that money, siphon off with that money. So it becomes more important for everybody to know what are the cyber risks and why is it important to protect the applications, the platforms that are used for investments, and the legitimacy also must be verified. So that brings us to say another slide, the next slide, where we are saying rapid participation brings a larger attack surface. Now, what do you mean by rapid participation? Now, rapid participation would mean on two sides. One, you have the investors. Investors means the retail investors who would look at platforms from a very different perspective. They would look at the brokerage platforms, the trading platforms from a ROI perspective. They would say how much I can put and how much I can gain. That is one. There should be risk-free returns. Um, they would look at certain schemes provided by the brokerage firms. They would also look at things like ease of use of that platform and whether in how many days can the money be pulled out, what's the settlement speed, and all those. So these things are from an investor perspective. Also, um, s- because of certain SEBI guidelines, um, the onboarding of individuals on the digital platforms is much simplified now. So because you have the CKYC, you have things like your Demat account. So you can simply open a Demat account. It's quite easy to open a Demat account on a new platform. Certain video KYC can be done, verification can be done, and things can start. Also, on the other side, because you have an easy entry for everybody, the attack surface also becomes larger, which means there can be fake apps, there can be fake channels where you are going to see that there are n number of advisors who would say, we give you tips and you can simply use those tips and you can make money from the stock market. And there are advisors who are registered with SEBI. Some of them are not registered with SEBI, and they still them call themselves as market experts. And with the advancements of technologies that we have at hand today, it is very easy to create fake Excel sheets, reports, and also fake videos where they show that here I took the entry, here I did the exit, and that's how I made very easily. I made say 20% returns, 100% returns on my investment. I'm talking about the intraday part. And there could also be various Telegram channels, WhatsApp groups, where people share about investments in stock market. Say, for example, they give you tips. They say this stock is going to go up because of XYZ reason. Here is the entry point. Here is the exit point. And the entire ecosystem survive. Entire ecosystem around the stock market and investment um, thrives um, on getting more and more people attracted towards their different schemes. So now here, I think Sahil, you can bring up the first poll question, and we'll see what is the general understanding amongst our participants. Yes, so we have around 32 participants is what I can see. So, um, what do you consider security as a factor before using any trading apps platforms? Now, how many of you have really thought of the security that is put behind the trading applications or the platforms that you use? Oh, I was trying to mark my answer and then I saw that it mentions host and panelists cannot vote. Okay. So yes, if you have done, okay. I think Sahil, you have closed the poll, so you might have. Okay, so 78% have already said that they do consider security as a factor before using any trading platforms or apps. So which means there is a good amount of awareness um, on the security aspects to be considered for um, uh, security aspects to be considered before installing or choosing a particular platform. So that's a good sign that we have, and which means that there's a good amount of literacy, cyber security literacy amongst all the participants in this webinar. So here we have the uh, next section of our webinar, why investors traders are easy targets. Now, as I mentioned in the earlier slide, that investors, traders, they are always on the lookout for easy solutions. Say, for example, if they do not have the bandwidth to study, go deep into the um, technical analysis of the stock market, or they don't have the inclination towards studying all the fundamentals of the stocks. Probably the easiest way that they would look at is to get some help from the so-called professionals or experts in the market. So what that means is they get attracted towards um, schemes or certain um, what we can call it as, not schemes rather, but maybe some kind of courses or some kind of deals rather. So as you can see on the slide, trading accounts hold real money, making them prime targets. So this is what I was mentioning at the beginning. The trading accounts, the demat accounts, they hold real money. So in certain cases, people must would put that money parked into the trading accounts, and some would actually invest them or do some trading, live trading during market hours. Now, suppose we assume that people with the who do the live trading during market hours, they might very well know that how much they have in the account and um, how much they are using for their day-to-day trading. They would still be aware of the any transaction or any um, deficit that they see in the account. But what about those who have invested and who have parked their money for, let's say, for a certain trigger to happen? Like, for example, if somebody says that now oil stocks would go up, and so let the war stop, and you will be able to make money out of it, either by trading or by investing. So if they are waiting for such kind of a trigger and they have parked money in their demat accounts or trading accounts, those become prime targets for the attackers. Now here you can see certain points that I have mentioned. Fast transactions enable quick and often irreversible results, irreversible theft. So which means because the use of technology, because of the use of technology, we also know that AI is also being used in many uh, platforms, in many mobile apps as well. So using AI powered transactions, those would be fast. The analysis would be fast, and since it is fast, the transactions would often result in something which cannot be reversed. So if at all there is, let's say, if at all the cyber attackers are able to lure the investors into doing certain transactions, and if the transactions are performed, it would be very difficult to uh, gain complete access to that transaction so that it can be reversed. Now, investor urgency and panic increases the risk of poor decisions. Now, this is something which applies for somebody who is doing a trading. An intraday trader kind of a person would usually want a quick or safe entry and quick or safe exit. So which means things have to be decided in a very short span of time where you don't have the time to think too much before executing the trade. Now that is the window period where the attackers can exploit either the human behavior to execute fraud and scams, or even the technology aspects can be exploited by the attackers. Say, for example, somebody does a man in the middle attack, somebody shows a fake um, chart on the screen and manipulates the charts and makes the investors feel that this is the right time to invest or do the trading. Now, fraudulent practices targeting the traders and targeting traders and investors. Now, before we move ahead, can I request Sahil to bring the second question, the poll question? So, very important. Are you aware of procedures to report a cyber fraud to SEBI or your broker? Now, what are we trying to understand from this question is how many of the participants are really aware of what to do when you become a victim of a cyber fraud. Say, for example, somebody gave you a call, asked you for an OTP, or you clicked a link and you entered your credentials in some portal, and then nothing happened. So if nothing happened, you suspect that everything was okay. Maybe the website was not responding, but at the back end, it could be a fake website. So here we are seeing that the ones who said yes are saying are 30%, which means only 30% of our participants are aware of what to do in case they fall victim to a cyber fraud. So which is not a great number, and some 40% of them have said they have a rough idea. So we would then say rough idea may amount to having no idea at all. Because when you have a rough idea, you will hesitate to take the right steps. And 30% of them have said no. So which means there's quite a opportunity for knowing what exactly is to be done uh, when you become a victim of cyber fraud. Say, for example, you have clicked something, you have entered your username, passwords, you have shared OTP, something of that sort. So if at all you have done that and you're seeing that you have already become a victim of a fraud, then what steps should be taken is something where the awareness aspect needs to be increased. So just to answer that question, we have the cybercrime reporting portal from the Government of India, cybercrime.gov.in, where you can go and register a complaint. Also, 1930 is the toll-free number of the Government of India, wherein you can record the complaint, and that complaint is recorded at a central place, and from there it is routed to the specific district, state, cyber police stations where the relevant people will take action, and you are also asked to coordinate with the local cyber cell. Okay, so now let's move on. So fraudulent practices targeting traders and investors. Now, we spoke about certain things, but there could be a repeat, and we'll also see what other things are. So, for example, now fake trading alerts, buy, sell. Now, I was talking about the trader's mindset where you would want a quick entry and a quick and safe entry and quick and safe exit. So in doing so, many would subscribe to certain apps. Many would subscribe to certain WhatsApp, Telegram groups, wherein all these buy, sell signals are given, and some of them could be genuine, but not all. So, as is the case in any digital platform. So here also, you would not find that everybody is genuine and all buy and sell signals are genuine. So also in case of trading or investing, there are also firms who ask the participants to simply park their money with them, and the trades are executed by the firms on behalf of the participants, and they keep a certain share of the invested amount or the profit amount, and then they they promise certain returns on a daily basis. Say, for example, they say you have to put in minimum 25,000 rupees with us. And we will use that amount to do the trading, and we will take 5 calls or 2 calls per day. And then whatever is the profit or loss that has to be borne by you, and profit will be shared. We will keep a certain percentage, like say for example 40%, 50% we'll keep, and the remaining 50% will be given back to the participants. So there are such promises of guaranteed risk-free returns, and then victims are shown fake initial gains. Now, as I mentioned earlier, that AI technologies are being used to generate fake videos of entry and exit, and all these are done to lure the individuals into being members of these groups and being members of the community that they build. Um, and for these purposes, they keep on using the social media, Facebook, Insta, and maybe some other websites through Google ad links. You are taken to those sites, and there are many such things. If you guys recall, just a few months back, the online gaming, the things like I think what was the name of that gaming platform, and some lottery systems also. The online lottery thing was also promising good returns to the participants, and that ad was running for quite some time on TV as well, with celebrities participating in those ads and telling them that minimum investment is required, and you can also play those games with even a 1 rupee in your account, and if you win, you can instantly withdraw the money that you have won. So these kind of fake promises are being done by people in the market. Those could be part of a larger cyber criminal gangs. And what could be the red flags on these related to these trading alerts, or they might include requests for direct bank transfers to individuals. So they would say you don't send the money to a particular firm's account, you send it to an individual's account, and they would also promise some insider tips for investment, and they would say all these are mm, you know um, there are many who provide such tips, so we are also one of them. We give you the best tips to do the trading and all, right? So now coming to another topic, where sponsored search results scam. What this means is that the attackers would create fake websites that look exactly real. Now, that could be a replica made of the existing websites which are very much popular for trading or investing, or they could be simply fake websites created for you know giving trainings to individuals and saying them that once you complete the training, as a bonus to the participants, we would show them how the trades are executed, and so you have to be a participant and then put your money into our account. So those could be certain fraudulent websites being used. So they promote fake sites using Google ad links, or even um, those links to those sites are shared to participants or non-participants using a bulk mailing services or bulk SMS services, and the links would reach the individual investors on their phone or in email. And they would ask for the username credentials to be created. Maybe if those are phishing sites, those would capture the details of the individual. The real accounts, the demat accounts and all. So, moving on to the next topic, supply chain attack. Now, before we do this, let me ask Sahil to bring up the next poll question. So, the poll question here is, would you stop investing with a broker if they had a major data breach? Now, um, yes, I think all must have answered by now. So yes, very much um, immediate step to take is to stop investing with a broker if they had a major data breach. So we have 89% of the participants who are saying that they would stop. The other 11% say depends on how they handled it. Now, as a retail investor, probably you might not be given access to all the incident details, the reports, and you would actually not know how the broker has actually handled the data breach. But having said that, there could be different ways to find out, maybe from the media, maybe from the website itself, maybe from a press release, and then certain decisions can be taken. But if it is a really a major data breach, then what happens is a good amount of the member data would land up on the dark web where it could go, it could be sold to cyber criminals. So a good step is to stop using that broker's services. Okay, so moving on, so we have supply chain attacks. Now, what do you mean by a supply chain? Supply chain would mean that you are handling certain things and there are multiple parties involved. So, for example, when you do some trading or investing, you have your own broker, you have a bank, you have the application developer, plus you also have the third parties involved. So, all those parties together involve the entire ecosystem. We will say which supports the trading or investing. That would um, be together called as the supply chain. Like all of the parties together, each one has a role to play in providing you that service. So whoever is the weaker in the entire supply chain will get targeted more, so that cyber criminals will often um, gain access to that data. So here the target is weaker, third-party software vendors or service providers. Now, why is it important? Because third-party software providers may not release their patches on a very regular basis, and so there could be vulnerabilities which can be exploited by the cyber criminals, by hackers, to gain access to either data, credentials, or even siphon off with the money by doing some illegal financial transactions. So, um, so it could be third-party software vendors, it could be service providers used by major financial institutions, and cyber criminals, hackers would execute exploits, on those systems to gain access to those applications, gain admin access to those applications, and they would do that by circumventing the security measures in the um, in the entire software, the supply chain, for example. Now, so what things need to be done? So first of all, the software vendors and all, if you are entrusting somebody with building a software, or if you yourself are downloading something as a so make sure that it is the latest one. Um, you should have the least amount of privileges given to any third parties. Um, Certain amount of risk assessment needs to be done. So all of those activities need to be performed before you start selecting a software. Now, email phishing attack. Now, this is the most common method used by cyber criminals, hackers to gain access to somebody's accounts. So, email phishing, you must have heard about it already. What happens in email phishing? See here, this is an example of email phishing. Uh, so here you can see the arrows. The arrows indicate certain key red marks or red flags on in this particular email, phishing email. So you can see this comes from alerts at icicbalerts.com. So that is the first red mark. Now, although it says ICICI Bank NEFT team alerts at icicibankalerts.com and then two. You can see the two part. So there can be certain fake mail IDs created just for propagation of these phishing emails. Now you can see the table below and it talks about HTTPS, ICCI fund transaction, blogspot.com. So it could be a link which at the top does not look like anything suspicious, but once you once you click on this link, there's a good possibility that it takes you to a fraudulent ICICI Bank website or a ICICI Direct website. So, so here, what are the key indicators? The key indicators are suspicious domain. So it talks about blogspot.com instead of the official bank domain. Mismatch in the email addresses. Urgent financial request. If you read the entire thing, it says erroneous NEFT credit was done, which needs to be reversed, was initiated on the account. This was not intended, and therefore it was entered incorrectly. So they are asking you to arrange the refund to the originating account. So anybody who and the mail looks like it has come from the senior NEFT team from the ICICI Bank. So these kind of phishing emails, if they come and they show a sense of urgency, and that urgency often leads to actions taken by the recipient, and they are likely to fall prey to a cyber attack. So, urgent financial request, external link for transaction or refund, and the other two aspects that we talked about, like suspicious domain, mismatch in email addresses. So, these could be the things which can be seen as the red flags in a phishing email. Now, let's talk about something more advanced. Like we all know that nowadays there is AI in everything. So everything, by everything I mean anything which is digital, which is software based, which is related to IT. You are likely to hear the term AI. So what is AI? AI is artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence has taken up good speed in terms of propagating to our individuals' lives. So everybody is aware of things like Google Gemini, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude. So and the likes of it. So all of these are AI tools which help you do some research, which pulls out data and gives you. So the effort in getting that data has reduced significantly. But at the same time, we all should be cautious that any AI driven technology can also be used against individuals or firms by cyber criminals because they also have the access to AI. like how you and me have access to AI, cyber criminals would also have access to AI, and probably they would have access to much more advanced AI tools and techniques. Now, one of them is AI deepfake. Now, what is deepfake? Deepfake is to create fake videos or voice of trusted financial experts. Now, we might have their videos, the original videos and voices available through their videos posted on their websites or even on YouTube. Now, what would happen is you download those videos as well as once you download those videos, you can run them through some AI softwares which will study the study the pattern in the voice, where is the voice lowered, where is the pitch high, which particular word is stressed upon more. So all of these patterns would be studied, and the AI tools will generate voice based on that pattern that they have identified, and with any given text. So with any given text, that can the voice can be generated, which we may call it as the AI deepfake voice, and it can also be used along with the AI generated deepfake video. Now, why is this important? Because if at all using some trusted financial experts' face and voice, if videos are circulated, they are more likely to be trusted by individuals, and individuals are then more likely to follow the advice that is given in that video. So, therefore, use of deepfake can be made by cyber criminals to create these fake videos, voice, and then lure the individuals into following that advice. Now, these um, can be spread rapidly through social media platforms. Now, it can appear on the feeds of people in Facebook or on even on LinkedIn or even on things like Instagram, for example. And also WhatsApp is a very popular medium right now where things can go viral as well. Like from each one group to the other, people will keep forwarding things. So any such deepfake video which tells about investing or trading on a particular script, they are likely to spread faster on Telegram channels, on WhatsApp channels, WhatsApp groups, and are likely to attract more individuals towards them. Now, tackling deepfakes. Now, how do you do that? So, for example, let me see. Yeah, tackling deepfakes. How is that done? So, you have to trust only communication that are from verified handles. So maybe a blue tick official domain. Let's say if you get a deepfake video and you're not aware whether this is a deepfake video, you just think that this could be a genuine one, but then the source has to be verified from where it has come. And if it is from a known individual, that known individual could also have posted that same video on their own YouTube channels, maybe their own websites. So certain amount of due diligence would be required on the investor's part before taking action on what is said in the deepfake videos. So that is one thing. Secondly, if it is coming through emails or notifications, then whether those are digitally signed, do they carry the correct set of signatures, and are we able to identify the red flags that we saw in the previous slide? So if there are no such red flags, it could possibly be trusted. So here, what I just said, we are just summarizing them, like verifying the URL, checking the HTTPS, avoiding any sponsored links. Now, when you search for something in Google, you are more than likely to get a sponsored link as the first link, first or second link. So avoid sponsored links. Use bookmarks for opening your regular trading sites or the investment sites. Um, if you have it bookmarked, it is easy for you to access the correct site rather than typing it or searching it in Google and then clicking on any link that has come up on the screen. And a regular monitoring of your account is something which is recommended. Now, regulatory action. Now, we talked about email phishing, we talked about fake apps, supply chain attacks on all this. So, what is the role of the regulatory against unauthorized advisory or against these things? Now, there are two major things which I will quote here. One is related to a particular um, a particular influencer or finfluencer, as they call it. Financial influencer is called a finfluencer. So you can see this, and since it has appeared in the media and all, there's no harm in taking the name. It was called as the Avadut Sathe Trading Academy. So, which means they were training people on how to do the trading in the financial markets, and they had a good amount of what do you say, that they had spread or they had grown with many people claiming that they learned good amount of skills in trading, and they have been good traders and they have made money. And there were also stories of somebody who has lost a good amount of money and then recovered after getting the training. Now, I myself have seen this person's ads n number of times on various platforms. So, in the name of education, such people would provide advisory. Now, when you say what is the difference between education and advisory, so there is a very thin line, and um, because the such influencers are likely to have mass influence, so it becomes a systemic risk for investors. Anything that they propagate would reach a mass audience, and many people are likely to trust their advisory. Even if, as an example, if they start picking up stocks as an example during their education series for investors, they would still be seen as a recommendation, and they're likely to be seen as recommendation, because anybody who is actively trading in a certain stock would probably use that as an example to to validate their claim of good returns based on the training that they have given to their participants. Now, SEBI has taken action against this particular person and his firm, and he was asked to um, stop giving advices, stop training people, and also huge amounts of penalties were levied. So that is what the regulator does when they spot something which is not in the favor of retail investors. Now here, SEBI penalties signal that weak controls carry a cost. What does that mean? It means that if, as a trading platform, if you are not diligent enough in putting the right set of controls, either it could be process controls, it could be cyber security related controls, then SEBI is likely to take action. So here, there is an example of Anand Rathi Share and Stock Brokers, which is a known firm, and uh, they were asked to pay a penalty of 10 lakh rupees. This is in March of 2026, which is a very recent case for failure to comply with cybersecurity controls, IT governance controls, and operational safeguards. So, so how does so one can ask the question like how does SEBI ensure that cybersecurity controls are being implemented? So basically, all market entities, any entity which is regulated by SEBI and has a um, certain volume or maybe certain level of assets, they are asked to follow the cyber security guidelines given by SEBI, and that is called as the SEBI CSCRF. So SEBI CSCRF is a set of guidelines given by SEBI for all the regulated entities, and they need to show their compliance to SEBI CSCRF. So that is one of the enforcement measures that SEBI has taken. So brokerage houses, portfolio management firms, and so they are all required to comply with SEBI CSCRF requirements. So there are other things which SEBI also takes action on fake trading apps. So what is done basically? So Securities and Exchange Board of India uh, can ask Google to verify the trading apps, and they take action if at all they see that the fake trading apps are um, just increasing, and certain apps are identified as fake. So they ask the Google to remove those apps, and so for this to happen, basically the retail investor has to be vigilant enough. They need to take action. They need to also report such frauds happening. So unless it is brought to the notice of the regulator or the law enforcement agencies, it is very unlikely that they would be aware that such a app is being created and is being to um, used and the fraudsters are making money out of it, and it is being used to mislead the investors. So unless it is reported by someone, it is difficult. But once reported, things like this happen. So this has also come in the news. So what it says, stop trading apps to have a verified batch on Google Play. So what is Google going to do? They are going to verify all those apps and help track the influencers. So this has been told by SEBI in a recent announcement. Moving on, I would request Sahil to bring a next bold question. So yes, the question is, do you think AI deepfakes are a real threat to Indian investors? So you can say yes, it's a real threat. You may also say maybe in the future, but not now because you are able to spot that these are AI created, and so therefore it is not a threat now. Maybe when AI matures enough, and there is very less chance that somebody who sees a video says that identifies it as a fake just by viewing it once, and the other choice is a no. Yes, so 100% of our participants say that AI deepfakes are a real threat. So probably if we would have brought this question prior to the slides, we would have got a different uh, result. But anyways, whatever we are seeing is good. So now, what are the red flags for investors? Frequent security incidents. Let's say, for example, a particular brokerage firm or an investment advisory firm is getting attacked again and again. There are repeated breaches. So this could be a red flag. Lack of transparency, so limited or no disclosure of cyber risk. And probably they might not be also compliant, their technology could be weak, no recognized security framework. So, for example, they might not have implemented any security framework in their organization. Now, it is difficult for investors, retail investors, to identify whether the brokerage firm or trading firm has complied to ISO 27001 requirements or so. But still, we might get some understanding if you do some digging further and try to find out more information on the security framework that is implemented by the organization. So weak data protection practices and outdated systems and technology, these could be red flags for investors. Now, not everybody would have an understanding or access to that data, but to a certain extent, even if one of these is identified, it can be a sufficient enough red flag for people to stop investing with them. So, what is the impact of cyber defense on business risk? So, companies with strong cyber defense face significantly low risk. So, it is quite obvious if you have good practices, best cybersecurity practices, then the chances of the firm getting breached significantly lowers, and therefore um, financial losses will be minimal. There would be minimal downtime. Damage to reputation would also decrease, and you wouldn't have to pay regulatory penalties. So, just by looking at the data of regulatory penalties, one might be able to make a fair judgment between the brokerage houses or investment firms. Now, what should be the role of employees and investors in cybersecurity? So, what should be the role? First line of defense is always employees. So, whether it is employees or it is the investors, so whatever you use as your account, you should always deploy or make use of strong passwords, make use of multi-factor authentication, and you should also be aware of how to identify or also even report phishing or a fraud or a suspicious activity, and should be well aware of how to handle sensitive financial data, comply with the security policies and all is a must for for the employees as well as for the firm in general. And participate in awareness programs is something which a retail investor can also do. Now, drivers for accountability, access company cybersecurity posture. So this is for investors. So investors, when you are doing a due diligence on a particular organization, then you can try to access the cybersecurity posture, review audit reports, disclosure. Not that easy, but still we have brought it on this presentation so people know that these are the things which can be looked at and a decision can be made. Okay. Now, I think I've come to the end of my presentation and we are open to questions. Sahil, if there is any poll question pending, that can also be displayed on the screen. Else, we can straight away take the questions.
Sure, sir. So there is one question in Q&A. I think you can address that question.
Sure. So let this poll be carried out first, and then we'll address that question. So the
Okay.
question of the poll is: out of all the scams covered in the session, which one do you think is the easiest to fall for? So you have seen that we talked about fake trading apps that look 100% real, deepfake videos of financial experts giving advice, fake websites showing up as the top result in Google, WhatsApp, Telegram groups with guaranteed profit tips. And by the way, this is just a poll. There is no right or wrong answer to this. It just tells us what the audience would think. Yes. So the results are out for this poll. Sahil, can you bring the result up again? Yes. So we can see that people have answered as fake trading apps that look 100% real, 29%. 14% people have said deepfake videos of financial experts giving advice. Probably they are the ones who think that AI needs to mature and it is easy to spot fake videos at the moment. Probably those 14% believe in that. 21% have said fake websites showing up as the top Google result, and 36% talk about WhatsApp and Telegram group as the ones who promise guaranteed profits and tips. Okay, so we'll close this poll. Thank you for participating. We have one question. What are the signs that we should not trust app or website or an advisor? Now, there are three things that you have mentioned here, Rajnikant. So when you say how do we spot fake apps or signs that we should not trust, you mean spotting the fake apps or websites. Now, with today's technology, it becomes very difficult to make differentiation between a fake app or a website, and for that matter, an advisor also, because as I said, the tools and techniques are available to individuals as well who are fraudsters, who are likely to pose as advisors. So that if it is of an individual, that track record needs to be seen, and if it is for the apps, then probably the number of downloads and also um, if you try and execute what you read the feedback of the users probably, and in terms of websites, it is easy to take that URL and post it on things like Trend Micro site or McAfee site, where they look at that website and tell us whether these are genuine websites. Okay, so what's the answer for the fifth poll? Like I said, WhatsApp and Telegram channels have a faster spread, and they have a large outreach. So probably that is the correct answer for that kind of a question. So here on the screen, you have options to give your feedback on the session. So we have just a very short feedback form here with 5 questions, and you can tell us your honest feedback, and we'll be happy to work upon that in the upcoming sessions.
Yes, so sir, until the
My
time means,
screen,
Mhm.
yeah.
So until the time attendees fill the feedback, I think you can touch upon the key takeaways or session highlights in couple of minutes, and then I think we can conclude the session, sir.
Okay, so what should be the key takeaways from this session? So first of all, awareness is the key takeaway. So as an individual who is using technology should be aware of how technology is used against individuals uh, to commit fraud by cyber criminals, and therefore one should be aware. So awareness is the key. Secondly, verification. So when you um, decide on using some platforms, so verification of those need to be done, whether those are genuine, not genuine. Also in terms of entering into certain WhatsApp groups or Telegram groups. So should you be doing that? Is there any shortcut to good money, good amount of money? No, there is no shortcut. So therefore, um, anything which promises high returns, 200% returns or so, should be avoided. It is more than likely to be a trap. So these could be, I think, certain takeaways, and how to identify phishing emails, the links, etc. Those could be another item, the key item that can be a takeaway from this session. So I think more than me, we have the participants here, and I can see Bansal sir here as well as Rasmit ma'am. So if they can give their feedback, they can tell us about what they feel. That would also be helpful for the participants. Yes,
It has
sir.
been a good session, Milind. Uh, I'm sure our participants would have benefited, and we could see their activeness in the polls that we were putting, and they were actively participating.
Right.
And some of them have asked some questions as well. So I think the session has gone very well, and it should certainly benefit them.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the feedback.
And thanks, Milind, for doing this. Thank you all participants for attending. And as already announced in the beginning, NISM keeps doing all these activities for your benefit. So please do keep participating actively like you have done today. Yeah, over to you, Sahil.
Yes, thank you, Kun sir. And also, I would like to extend our heartfelt thanks for Milind sir as well for sharing his time and knowledge with us. Also, the presentation which he has prepared, it was really means full of information. I mean, attendees has got a lot to learn from that. Thank you again, sir, for your time and knowledge. Thank you, and also
Thank you
thank
very
you
much.
to attendees as well. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, NISM, for the opportunity.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now I request IT team to close the session.